Okay guys, let's go take a garden tour, backyard tour, side yard tour, whatever you call it. Let's go outside. So you're staring at my raised beds, and we're in Quebec, Canada, Zone 5. It's April 13th, I believe, doing this video. And we just topped off all the beds with a mix of, it's sold as gardening soil, and it's nice and black and fluffy and very rich, and it's compost with peat with black earth mix, and it does a really good job. It's pretty amazing, and it wasn't that expensive. So the only thing we have going right now is we have garlic, and this is actually garlic that I bought from the grocery store that was organic because I didn't have any to plant, and I said I'm going to plant it and try it and see what happens. And lo and behold, it survived the winter and it came back, so that's fine. Nothing's planted in the beds yet, as our last frost date is not for a few more weeks. Usually we could plant in May around Victoria Day in my zone, but we have all the beds ready and all topped off. Have all my tires ready here and topped off as well, and they're all ready to go. They're just waiting. And I have these huge flower pots. Oh my god, I was so excited. I got these flower pots off of the free group. I didn't pay anything for them, and some of them are huge. Like this one is really big and heavy, but they're all big and heavy, but that one's really big. So I'm gonna put a bunch of flowers and zinnias here, and probably nasturtiums. So let's see. Let's go into the backyard, and we have a pile of pine needles there because our trees, these trees here, drop so many pine needles. It's amazing. So we keep the beds covered with the pine needles. We go into the backyard. I'll show you what I'm working on. We're putting in a second row of tires that I found and collected around the neighborhood because people just dump their crap. And as you can see, I have finished painting all the tires in the front. This new row we're putting in, and I painted them to look like cows because I want to do some just cheesy decorations. Make it look country. I don't know. I think they're cute. I like them better than the original row of tires, because the original row of tires we just took spray paint and paint we had in the garage to paint them, so they're all different colors. But I want to paint them all like the cows as well. But the only thing is it's difficult to paint the tires when there's stuff already growing in them. It's a little bit annoying to try and get around, but I'll figure it out. So we have cow tires waiting to go, topped off, and it's sitting on weed fabric, and that stuff's really great because nothing will come through it. So eventually we're going to mulch everything to have little walkways in between so we can reach everything. Here's the section we started last year. It has foxglove and columbine and dianthus and some tulips in the front. And there's a rose of Sharon bush back there that seems to be alive this year. Sorry if there's noise. I live in the suburbs and there's neighbors all around and cars. Oh, I tell you, I live in the suburbs, guys, but I dream of acreage one day. Here's two rose bushes with a you guys recognize that? That's actually a tea light holder for candles. But I'm going to bury it partially in the ground, and I'm going to get some clematis because I love clematis. They're my favorite. And I'm going to plant about 3 different ones here. And when you plant clematis with roses, these rose bushes on the side. They're actually friends. Clematis and roses love each other, so they'll all intertwine together, and they'll kind of protect each other. They'll protect the clems from breaking, and it's awesome. So I have a lot of rose bushes, and I have a lot of clematis, and this is our new raised bed. It's empty right now. It's not quite 4x8, it's 4x6. And we built it because underneath this, there's an identical matching concrete slab that we can't get rid of. It's near impossible. We'd have to get a jackhammer in and then some way to get rid of the pieces. So we said, well, if you can't fight it, might as well turn it into something. So we stuck a raised bed on top, and this is where we're going to plant our our bare root strawberries when they come in, but they're not in yet. And again, we just filled it with that really good soil we got. And underneath this actually is all needles and broken branches from our trees. We have huge trees here that have been on the property forever. But, you know, branches break and they fall down, or we have to trim them because you see our fence there and our neighbors. So we had ones touching the fence and banging the fence one year, so we had to cut them. But they're all underneath here, kind of like a hugel. What do you call it? A hugel culture? Is that what it's called? But it also saves you soil. You don't have to spend as much money to fill it up with soil if you stick stuff on it. These are tiger lilies coming up, and every year they spread and they take over, and they're just taking over even more. These metal chairs have clematis on them, 2 different kinds. More tiger lilies. I actually want to get rid of the tiger lilies and replace it with berries, but we'll see. Down in that corner there's a whole bunch of raspberries. Oh, here, I can actually show you now. Okay, let me see. Now I apologize for the shaky camera because I don't have a gimbal, but we're going to take this trim and extend it across the corner to meet up with this pole, and we're going to turn that entire area into raspberries. We want a bunch of raspberries to take over so we don't have to buy them in the store because they're quite expensive. Now this section was a bunch of flowers and strawberries we put in last year. We bought 4 plants last year, and they sent out so many runners that now we have so many strawberry plants here. But the idea is, see, there's one planted here, and he sent out a runner, and there's one there, and they just do that. They'll just multiply. So we're going to dig up those strawberries there, put them over there, as well as the bare root ones that come in. I also have a bunch of daffodils coming up here, a bunch of succulents, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's planted here. I also planted poppies from seed like 2 years ago, and that's what I got. And then we have a little bird bath, and I have a little gargoyle that the boyfriend bought because he thought it would be cool in the garden. Here's our lilac tree. So even though I can't plant outside yet, yes folks, yes, you are staring at a cow in a cow bathtub with a cow toilet, because that's how we roll around here. We figured, why not? This was the old bathtub the grandmother used to use. It's incredibly heavy and real cast iron, or whatever you call it. And then we had to replace our toilet, and we thought, well, wait a minute. Bathtub, toilet, bathtub, toilet. I swear to God, if I walk down the street and I see a sink, a bathroom sink, I'm taking it, I'm putting it right there. And I'm putting cow spots on it. So I want to get some plants, and I want to plant big plants in the toilet so it looks really frilly and fluffy. It's funny. This is all bishop's weed coming up. The entire area will be surrounded by bishop's weed this year, and that's what we want for this area, because underneath this square, it's kind of like a square. Like if you went from here all the way out And that entire area used to be a shed years ago. So underneath it, it's rock. You can't do anything with the land that's there unless you had big equipment to take it out. And we just don't have it. So we took 4 little tiny bishop leaves plants from my sister's yard one time, and we planted it, and a few years later this is what we got. It will take over this stuff. It'll go crazy. This is one of our compost boxes, and we've been what we do is we have 2 composts, and each year we rotate. So this one's been sitting for a year, and I have to sift it out, and the compost that's on it is going to go in my raised beds, obviously. We have the greenhouse, and the greenhouse is where all the awesome stuff is, because I have started my seeds. You can start seeds, and it's just full. The top, I have cayenne peppers I'm doing, beef eater tomatoes, the huge slicers for a sandwich. I'm doing cherry tomatoes. I have a ton of cherry tomatoes. I'm actually grew them from seed. If you remember my seed starting video. And they actually grew, which is very exciting. So they're looking good. And then up here is peppers. I started cayenne peppers from seed, first time ever. Now obviously I have too many, so I'm hoping this year I could sell them. I'm going to try. And then I planted a whole bunch of shallots, cauliflower, celeries, broccolis, cabbage, and zinnias. And they're actually starting to sprout. We have little sprouts coming now, which is awesome. So this is the greenhouse. That's one of my happy places. We're back out. So it's just a little tour, just to show you, just to kick off the season. Let's see. These are 2 blueberry bushes down here, and they're starting to bud, so that's good. This is our second compost back here. And this is the one we were using this year. So after we sift the other one, we won't be using this one anymore, and this one will sit for a year. And we turn it as soon as it, because it's April, so it's not frozen anymore. We already turned it. That's a massive rose bush back there. Then we have the shed and the catios and the evergreen tree that's huge. Alright, if we go through the gates. So my yard it's kind of like, this is the front yard, which is basically just a driveway and this little tiny section. And you come through the gates and it's like a middle section, raised beds. All this used to be connected. The fence never used to be here. And it was a driveway forever. And then you go to another gate and there's a backyard. So yeah, that's how it's done. That's what it looks like. And I got my 3 little raised bed boxes here for my flowers. Although I might stick vegetables in it this year, I'm not sure. Or melons, I don't know. So I planted 360 daffodils. Yes, 360. Because it was cheaper to buy a basket of daffodils than just a few. We have that plant, I can't remember the name of it. But the daffodils are all coming up. And we planted them all along the edge here. This is a Japanese bush with thorns. This is a rose bush with thorns. And another Japanese one. People have a tendency to walk through here. So we put thorny stuff so to stop them. This is all daffodils here, and some of them have opened. Also in the middle, this pine tree was a transplant from my backyard. So we stuck him here and he's alive, and we have daffodils around him. and he's looking good. And the daffodils here are coming up as well. And then what we have in front of our house, it's like a tiny, tiny area. See how tiny it is? It's so tiny. We're so close to the street here. We have a lot of problems actually with people taking our mail. Thieves. So there's daffodils coming up there. Daffodils there. The whole thing's full of daffodils. And daffodils a whole bunch over there. And blazing star liatris behind it. So they're actually starting to open.